They can't.
Hello, appreciate it.
All right, let's call the Lake County Commissioners Court to order this Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. And call the roll.
Jennifer Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Weir. Commissioner Eden.
Here.
Commissioner Eastman. Commissioner Riley.
Here. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invitation. Second Corinthians says, now thanks be to the God who always leads us in triumph of Christ, and through us diffuses the fragrance of his knowledge in every place. Lord, we are thankful for this day, this hour, this minute. As we bring forth our county budget, may we triumph with the knowledge you have given us. Lord, guide us, each and every one of us, budget affects, to see the necessity of this budget. May it be used wisely. Lord, we are so grateful for our law enforcement, our EMS, and our firefighters. Be with them every minute of every day. Protect them as only you can. Lord, we have a special prayer, a prayer for rain. Nourish our land and bring green grasses so we won't have fires. We will have fires, but they won't be as bad. This is the day the Lord has made. May it not be wasted. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Public comment, Deanne Welch.
I'm Deanna Roach, Bladen County, and I represent the Libertarian Party of Texas. On agenda item number 10, of course I don't have any information, but if this is going to involve paying rent in order to add new life to the Community Resource Center, then I object. Their position somewhere now where they don't have to pay rent, the cost of their facility is already included in the budget, and you've been spending wildly for 3 years now. And, you know, we're going to have to build new buildings and then pay rent somewhere. I have to check before I know what you're doing, because after you decide, you won't put it on the agenda and that will be just.
Sam Hall.
Does this microphone work?
It does.
You have to turn it on.
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Something close enough to it. Thank you.
Well, we had a professional a minute ago, but apparently she needs listening.
Thank you. I just want to briefly, a year ago during the smoke rattle fire, we had assistance from the Hays County CERT, which is the Community Emergency Response Team. And there's also a CERT in Vernon, which is near us. Both of my chiefs have said they think that this is a good organization. Chris Leisman, I think, as the emergency manager, agrees with that, but we haven't moved forward on it. And so I had sent a letter to Commissioner Leisman and Judge Bray and my chiefs last week, and I saw that you are finishing up the budget, and what my letter was requesting was that the county, you have to have a sponsor for a CERT. And in most counties, it is a countywide organization because it works better that way. And typically in Hays, the county is the program manager. They don't actually do the work. They have someone that volunteers and does the work, but they're the program manager. And the other requirement is there has to be a point of contact, which is usually one of the emergency services chiefs. And so what I am requesting today is that as you go through this, you're going to have some decisions about if you want to sponsor this. If you don't, that's all right, because I think we can take it back to the emergency services districts or the ESD number 2, or perhaps both of them, and we can sponsor it. But I do want to move forward on it, and I think this first year we don't need a lot of budget, but I think we need some budgeting to be able to buy vests and things. The flood will come, and we will once again be short of trained volunteers. And so I encourage you all to, at a future meeting, discuss if you want to sponsor a CERT for Blanco County, and think about if that's so, that you might want to budget a small amount this year. I don't think it's ever going to be expensive. I know that Hayes County has a nice trailer where they carry all of their equipment. And I don't know how they do food for long-term responses, but I don't think that's part of their job. I think that they are basically there to help the first responders with things that the CERT volunteers are trained to do. The training begins in Hayes County that we can go and take because we're a contiguous county. The last 2 weeks of October and the first week in November. And so I would like to, I will go ahead and find some people to go take that course, because even if we don't have a CERT, we can join Hayes County CERT and take the course. So I encourage you to consider the letters that I've given to you and decide if you'd like to sponsor it, and plan to do some budgeting for this year. Thank you.
Are you planning on staying, or do you need to leave? Are you planning on staying, or do you need to leave?
I'm planning on staying.
Then I invite you to join us in our discussion on item 13, and we may talk about this a little bit.
Thank you.
Item 1 under agenda, is the proposed minutes.
I move that we dispense with the reading to approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Eager, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, line item, there are no line item transfers. So moving to item 3, the outstanding bills.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the outstanding bills in the amount of $325,169.85 and add an additional $2,773.37 for a copier, phone, and internet that just came in yesterday.
Is there a second? Mr. Riley, discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, Life Spectacular,
Good morning. Okay, so I already presented most of my items, and this was the last item on the list that needed reconsideration or further discussion.
Can you speak closer to the microphone so I can pick you up?
maybe we just hold it. If you like it's all hold it.
Thank you.
Just a little hard.
All hard.
Okay, now can we hear me? All right, so this is one of the last items that there was questions on, and so I met again with the Kasi Chili people and came up with some guidelines, and I sent over the guidelines that I thought would be some of your concerns and address each one of those in the guidelines. Did you have any questions about those guidelines? I'll go over them. We had discussed how many spaces and put a total of 8 to 10 spaces, quiet time at 11, low decibel generators, arrival time after 5:30 to allow all county officials to get out of their parking spaces in the back, and no exceptions coming before 5:30. No Sunday night stays due to that early Monday morning, people would be coming to work and depart on Sunday by 10:30 a.m. And all trash and grease must be cleaned up and provide a protective barrier under any cooking that is done outside.
What day is it scheduled for?
It is scheduled for the 9th of December.
Okay, I guess we left this as an open switch last time.
Yes, sir.
So we need probably a motion for,
Yes, sir.
I support the chili cook-off, and I spectacular most of the things about it. So I don't want to offend you, but probably not go along with the commissioners on this. I'm torn. I just have anxiety about turning the parking lot into an RV, a temporary RV park. That's just me. Now, the reason I'm torn is because on the flip side, we're probably not using it anyway on Friday, Saturday nights, and it is a community service and development, fosters economic development, all those kinds of things. I get all that. I just this leaves me a little anxious.
This organization is, Station Chili Cook-Off, and they go everywhere and well respected where they go, and they don't have any sort of reputation of leaving any kind of mess. Met with the officials from the group and assured that they would make sure everything is kept as it should be. And of course, myself and Bart will be here the entire weekend, and if there's any issues that arise, out you go, you don't get to stay. So if that is any assurance to you.
I sort of already understood that and trusted that. My issue is a little more abstract. Let's say this was happening at the annex in Blanco, and another flood were to occur. We built that with the idea that it could be an emergency operations center, and things move really fast. I get calls from somebody telling me things are floating down the river, and they have a campsite set up. It just makes things difficult. And those are the kinds of things I just concern myself about. Over here, you've got courts and things that it's not ideal to me. But I suspect that you're about to get it. So.
I hope I do, because I think it'll help our turnout. But
What's your option B?
option B is I have requested to use the courthouse, the fairgrounds. It's just a further truck and just less convenient for them to bring their items to the square.
So if they was to utilize the fairgrounds, you're picking through them, they just have to bring their chili for the judging of that day.
Yeah, and all their showmanship items, they were part of their sanctioned chili rules and regulations. They have to have a showmanship component. So they have to bring their tents, all their stuff that they're gonna set up for their showmanship on top of the chili. It's not just the cooking device and the chili that keeps it warm.
How many competitors are you hoping for?
The Casa Chili people believe that they should get between 20 and 25, and then of course what local teams we get. But they don't anticipate more than 8 to 10 people wanting to camp overnight.
Right, that's kind of where I was going with this.
Of course, there'll be day parkers that come in that may not have an RV that will be parking in spaces regardless.
Each one of these teams, do they have multiple people on their teams? 6 people?
I didn't ask that. Some come together, like, 2 friends. One friend does have chili and another it varies. I didn't ask that.
So if you have 8 or 10 spaces back there, people are back there in the parking lot, and they have 3 people each, plus other friends and family probably in that area. It can be pretty congested back there.
Yes, but just only 8 to 10 RVs expecting there to move over to G instead of a tent, so that crowd will be, even out then.
At some point in time, the vote, or they're going to vote.
Yes, they're to set up at 9 a.m. In their designated spots.
So when are they going
I would suspect, even after they complete the, awards and so forth at 5, that some will pull out. The Posse Chili people asked that if they could stay on Sunday, so again, keep them in the area, if anybody, enjoy our whole county and so forth. So that's why I requested until 11 a.m. on Sunday, or 11:30.
If the commissioners were to go with this, can you be on, sometimes when something gets started, it's the horses out of the barn and that's it. It's their word. Would you be on record as the grid, this is a pilot?
Yes, I understand.
File
Yes.
So what we're approving is one thing. Is that correct?
And if there's any interest issues, we can address it, and if it didn't work, it doesn't work until we try it.
So I'm in agreement kind of with the judge. I'm in favor of the chili cook-off. I think it's a great idea. I'm not in favor of authorizing candy for this purpose.
Feel better with it, Eric. I'm all for the cook-off. The students are around it. They go down there, it's a mile or maybe a little more. Just see this over here.
Myself, I think, they would be opening big can of worms to everybody doesn't have something around the courthouse. And turning it into a RV parking lot, just even if it's overnight. And somebody else come in and wants to have a car show, well, let's have a ticket off too. It's just a big can of worms.
So, anybody want to make a motion to approve proposed 8 to 10 total spaces as outlined? While they're thinking about that.
So, question for you. We have an A and a B on our agenda.
And I was, yeah, this, well, A is the chili cook-off, that's what I'm giving, right?
But do we want to make a motion to approve the chili cook-off?
Yes, we do.
I thought you had approved the chili cook-off, just, not the use of the camping.
I think actually B is all. So while they're thinking about B, I heard a rumor that the ice skating is off the table.
The ice skating rink is off the table. They weren't able to provide us with the amount of leveling that they needed in time for the contract to come to fruition, and it was too many variables, and we also didn't have a sponsor for it. It was a large expense, so the combination of all of that, we've taken that off the table. That's why we're hoping that chili cook-off sticks and they get enough people to come and stay.
Are you very familiar with, did you do any research or you or study these kinds of things, these exhibits, what do you call them, exhibits?
Events.
Yes, the ice skating rink and the thing at Flight Spectacular with the gyro thing, people riding. Do you know about all these?
Yes.
And do you know anything about the cost of all these things?
Yes, the ice skating rink was the cost was a little over $20,000 just to get it set up. So we were gonna have to have a very large corporate sponsor, and we didn't get that. And it was an August 5th deadline. And
So two unrelated questions. Are you thinking about any alternatives like that, like those other
we have some ideas. We actually got a spectacular meeting this evening, and so some of those ideas will come up in that meeting.
And again, a related question. If you read some of the you read certain things, some people are disenchanted with their little carnival during the video. And I was just wondering if, these vendors, these, people, if they, if you, in your mind, thought that they could be a alternative.
Well, we do have, the racetrack and bungee jump, and she has a new ride per se that is, she's trying to bring for this year that haven't signed off on that. Again, that's part of the meeting tonight. Hopefully, that's why we wanted to do the ice skating rink, to have an additional things for kids to do. But unfortunately, if it was the grade, we would have had probably fall in stuff, and it was just too many things against us in that one.
But those vendors go to other stuff, right?
Yes.
So they are available sometimes. This racetrack, usually there's, 6 or 8 stools, and there's probably 7 little kids and county judge racing little cars.
I'm just trying to,
So we are looking into just
All right, back to item B. Anyone, any motions to approve the North Annex parking lot? Going once, twice, 3 times. So there's something we can help you with the fairgrounds alternative. I think we're trying to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Item 5, presentation by fire official McMahon. While he's coming up, I have to remind you, I have asked him independently to, and again, I said this the last meeting, this is all an outcome from having to watch the Mason County courthouse go up in flames and be rebuilt. And not to mention the fact that the person that set the fire spent that night 2 blocks away from here. But anyway, that said, I asked Chief McMahon to look into some sort of an option for us to be able to alert it if the fire occurred. Not trying to do a sprinkler system and all of that, just a quick response.
So yeah, the judge came to me after the Mason incident, inquired about fire alarm monitoring as well as burglar alarm monitoring, because that subject did first break into the courthouse and set it on fire. So we went with ADT, we brought them out with 2 other technicians and walked the entire courthouse. The goal was to design a fire alarm system, a burglar system that would not affect the historical condition guidelines. We would use existing runs that were already done by IT, to avoid any holes or anything that would mess with the historical commission. So what we did is we designed just a fire alarm monitoring that included smoke detectors, heat detectors, strobes were alerted, and the fire alarm panel. On that same thing, we designed burglar detection motion sensors for all outside doors that would alert to the monitor that we have alert the sheriff's office. The contractor ADT, we chose them for the design because they can do both monitoring at the same time, so it's not 2 separate contracts. As you'll see on the first one, the term limit is 60 months. It is a contract. You can opt out of the contract with 30 days of written notice. But for the fire alarm monitoring system, the price to install the equipment, which includes, as you can see on the same page, all the items that are included. If you want to install all the cams, all the strobes, detectors, monitoring panels, is $24,194.45, and that's $203.80 a month for fire alarm monitoring. You continue to the next page, that is the regular alarm monitoring system. So the hardware is a lot cheaper. It's only 4 doors per motion detection. Is $1,169.65 with a monthly fee of $68.39. So to do both the install of the fire alarm monitoring equipment, smoke alarms, strobe alarms, the burglar detections, a total of $26,683.16, and a monthly charge for $272.19. That would include fire alarm and burglar alarm for the entire courthouse. without calling the historical commission.
Let me start off. So, is this system, or is there a system that does the first things you said, notifying dispatch and who else?
So how it's designed is if there is a fire alarm activation, you call dispatch. When they call dispatch, they will learn where the location is, what zone, and dispatch fire. Same with burglary. If the door is triggered after someone sets it, then we will contact dispatch at the same number, tell them burglary zone, door one.
So the question is, in addition to that, ADT would be monitoring for $272.19 per month.
Yes, sir, they would be monitoring both systems.
But can the system work to where it just notifies dispatch?
No, it has to go.
Put it another way, can we buy a system that doesn't have the monthly charge for it?
I've never seen one, for all the commercial establishments that we build in the county, everything per code has to go through alarm monitoring because it has to be done 24/7. Dispatch is 24/7, I just don't know how their system would communicate with our system. I'm sure there might be some way to do it. I can talk to IT, Nagel, and with Central Square to see. I just never heard of it before.
You back down, that will call out to dispatch here. We've installed, I've installed.
It just, I'd have to do the research to see if that would be code requirements. If you're going to go through this system from a project and make a code violation, I just have to double check. I've never seen one done for any of our county so far.
So let me ask you this, it shows to be one keypad, so I'm assuming once you get into the building, you gotta go enter your keypad. Where would that be located?
That would, I think when we walk the building, it would probably be next to that room. When you come through the south door to where the IT equipment was. Probably close to there, that wall.
So behind the line.
It'd be on the wall, you have to come through the courthouse, it could probably be on that wall that leads into that room. So it'd be not in the hallway past the main door, not inside the room.
But if you come in a different door, so you gotta make it to that within a certain
You
time.
do, but you can add users to the account, so everything is app-based. So depending on who comes in the morning, can have authorization to the app, they can actually disarm it when I walk in, so I have to run the account.
He's just asking is, can somebody slow and dragging on Monday morning?
60 seconds is usually the time. Which is, it's quite a bit.
Here's the first one to the courthouse every morning.
Every morning?
And that person back there, 60 seconds.
Many seconds time. It's fine time. I mean, if you don't, they'll call the office.
You gotta go use in that door.
Either door, it'll be on that wall, so either door you walk in, it's almost centrally located at the courthouse.
Do you know how long it takes to install this?
I do not, I can find out, I would think it would take probably a week.
Do we need, is this some sort of blackboard system, or do we need to go out to bid?
It's under, I don't know, it's under 50,000, I don't know if you're still required to bid at 26,000.
And, wireless, so in an attempt to avoid making any alterations to the building and engaging the state historical commission.
It would only use wire runs that were existing, so nothing would be new wiring. So strobe alarms, smoke detectors, all that would be wired, but would run along the same wire that's already done. So nothing would be new penetrating any walls or holes through the ceiling. We make sure that when we walk it.
Is this panel expandable?
As in,
You add a
you could add it to. So if you wanted to add on something additional for some reason, yes, you could tie it to existing. Or you can add additional devices. Because it's Wi-Fi wireless space. Say later you wanted to add cameras around the courthouse for some reason, you could tie in those devices.
On this map, how many zones, did you say how many zones?
It is not listed out in zones. I would assume be probably 2 to 4, because it's a 2-story building. And you can pretty much set zones as an installment. So it would be up to probably the commission on how many zones and how they want to rent out. You get to label it on how you want to treat it. So if you wanted to say,
I know they have 6 don't pass, 8 don't pass, 12, that's what it was.
yeah, so this one it's pretty simple. It's all compact in one screen, and then the brain will be IT. It's pretty much limited on options for this panel.
So it's not.
Commissioner, so this is the, first time I've seen an actual with conversations between Ms. Harrison and Mr. McMahon. We had taken a guesstimate and I proposed, and it's in the current budget proposal, $25,000 for the fire alarm system under your department. Just so it can come out if you choose not to do this and save a little money or not. Anyone have any preferences?
I think the new system. We don't have one of any sort right now.
Yeah, you don't have any money right now.
No.
It's the money, but like Josh said, with Mason, with the fire alarm system or burner system, the damage should have been way less.
And I'm not criticizing our carrier, but I worry, especially with inflation in the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know that you can come up with a building like this sufficiently. I guess you obviously can. So it's one or something. I'm just saying. I'm not sure if what happened to Mason would happen to us today. I don't know that we have one to go.
I don't know what that project came out, I'm sure it was a couple million if I would assume.
You know, I think I heard like, yeah,
20 million.
Wait, there. Go back to the
Not insurance, not replacement.
yeah, it's not, it's not.
Well, did you?
It is informational item.
Okay.
What I will do, since we're done discussing, I will reconfirm the quote, the numbers, this is available for May, and give you a hard number way before the next commissioner's court.
Is there any possible way to tie our current panic buttons into that system or not?
I think we talked about that, I will follow up with Mr. Carey and see that was discussed, because we were having head buttons, and I think we were understanding with some minor changes that can happen, but I will double check.
If that's so, then both of these comments that were made, respond to my question, which is communication.
Correct, communication,
Direct communication and go around ADT monitoring.
Well, not necessarily go around it, but I mean, if it, I don't know, our monthly fee on the other system, but maybe we should combine them all into one system. Yes.
I will find out, we'll do some research on that, and if we'll do that research, and then we'll get our number, I'm sure it was the previous one.
Okay. So, sounding like we're going to move forward and talk about more during the actual proposal. Okay.
I'll get it there.
Thank you for doing so much.
No problem.
In many ways. Next item is strong.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I just wanted to give you guys an update on the progress that the department has made in the almost year since I took the position. We started August 29th with just me in a little office. I didn't have a cell phone, a laptop, an email address, or anything else. I used all of those things, my own personal everything, until we did those little bits and pieces at a time.
And use that time to just kind of fill the empty bucket that the judge mentioned giving me. Fill it with tools and contacts of other counties, the state, and just did what I could do. Also reached out or had contact with American Legion members and getting them to kind of get the word out that the position is here. I did originally meet with like the state's Southwest District Manager and then the supervisor for that area, Texas Government Commission, where they kind of started some of the other training. I attended formal trainings in Gillespie, Caldwell, Bexar County, and also informal trainings, just sitting in with other county veteran service officers. In January of this year, I finally received the actual accreditation where I'm listed on the federal website of accredited veteran service officers. In April, they finally did the federal background check. The federal government doesn't move very quickly sometimes. In May, I was able to go to the Waco, the original office to get my PID card. That is the military uses a CAP card. Now, some other facilities use similar. It's an ID card with a chip in it for security, their access. And so this PID card is my access to VA or VBA systems, Veteran Benefits Administration systems. That means if a veteran comes to me who has a power of attorney on file with the Texas Veterans Commission, I can access their veterans benefits file and see either claims that they filed previously or maybe were denied previously. You see just all sorts of stuff that's going on with them so that I can better build their current plan. Of course, there's the rest of the community outreach, the American Legion, which three of them you can watch me talk today. In October, I started going to their meetings. Shortly after that, I was an official member. As of July, I'm also the post service officer. So that is just, it was Matt, he was the post service officer. He's the one that kind of answered questions related to disability compensation, pension, burial benefits, education, any benefits, and he passed it over to me. He thought it made more sense as the county service officer as also the post service officer. He also put me in a parade in November for Veterans Day, and then I was in, I floated in this one this past weekend. Memorial Day flag raising ceremony that was held in Blanco. I attended that and took the photos that they used in their the newspaper photos. Yeah. And then on the veteran side of the county website, I have created actual paper files on about 51 or so veterans around that I just had contact with, whether it's general questions or assistance with filing a claim. I have filed, it looks like about 35 claims. Only 9 of those have come back so far with decisions made. The VA takes about 6 months, so it's not, I don't like that it's only 9, it seems like a small number, but they take about 6 months, so if I've only been doing this year, that kind of makes sense. Of those 9 decisions made, 15 service-connected disabilities have been added, and $37,453.48 in back pay of tax-free income has been given to those veterans. And that's just back pay, so that's from the date that we filed to the date that it was awarded. There's also a $7,108 increase in monthly income to those veterans. And so you're splitting that amongst just that 9 decisions that have been made. Only one so far has gone to 100%, which means that he does have the property tax exemption. The rest of them is smaller ratings that they get some credit, but not a lot. Texas does have the highest veteran population in the country. They also have the highest female veteran population in the country. And has filed the most act-related claims since the law passed a year ago. As of 2022, Lincoln County has a veteran population of 909 that are receiving some form of benefits from the VA. That would be medical, education, pension, disability, insurance, maybe home loan guarantee, any of that. There are likely at least another 500 that are not receiving any benefits from the VA. So that's data that we don't have. There was a study that was done in 2017 that showed only 49% of all veterans are using some VA benefit in 2017. So with that, then that would be, if we have 99, according to that, there would be about another 900 that we don't have, that are not receiving VA benefits. With this being a rural county, it may not be that high, but still, we have 900, and there's probably at least another 500 that are not. I know it's great. And that's just in the last year of doing this. 2019 is the most recent data that's available on the breakdown of total disability compensation that's received. And we're only, Blanco County is only at 221. So only 221 of Blanco County veterans are receiving some form of disability compensation as of 4 years ago. I'd like to see that number go higher. I'm sure that it will, especially with the PAC, a lot of the Vietnam era veterans starting to see or learn that they are eligible for some benefits, and then reaching out to me and getting that started. I can think of 7 or 8 that I know that we've added to that number. And then with that, they broke it down into the different percentages. So 0 to 20% disabled, 66 of them, whereas 100% were at about 33. 119 of that 221 veterans, they are over the age of 65. So those are the ones that I feel that I really need to get to and help with things, because they have a hard time getting to San Antonio, Austin, or Kerrville to get any assistance. If they call any of the agencies, they may not get to them even virtually for a month. If they call me, I get to them either the same day or the next day. This is with me all the time. I may only be in office 26, 29 hours a week, but the phone is always with me, and it doesn't matter when they call me, when they reach out to me, I'm gonna get something figured out quickly, or we're gonna schedule for time that I'm in office. Commissioner Fair said 4 words when I was in the second interview a year ago, and that was whatever the veteran needs. And I really tried to just make sure that that's what I'm doing. If they need help with little stuff, if they don't know how to get to a medical appointment, I'll find a way for them to get to the medical appointment. If it's a buddy check, if one person tells me that somebody else needs to be checked on regularly, then I will do that buddy check to make sure that they're just doing okay. It may just be how they are, what's going on, what their frustrations are with the VA or just with life. Referring out to other organizations, if it's Wounded Warrior Project, DAV, Texas Veterans Commission, health issues, whatever it is, referring out to that. And then, of course, the other part is assisting in looking at military records from NVRC. That's a process. Every form is complicated. And so maybe the spouse who knows that her husband was in service, but he doesn't have a whole lot of memory. He doesn't remember any of the information. They don't have any paperwork. So that would be reaching out to NVRC, National Personal Records Center, and getting that information. Everything I do really, as far as the VA is concerned, comes out of the codified regulations, and that's all online, ECFR, chapter 38, I think it is. And that's kind of where all of the rules and things that I have to kind of keep track of are. And that goes with the access of records, the things that I can or cannot talk about with other people. But it's just everything is out there, and that's what I have for you. I do have another training possibility next week, just to make sure that I'm getting all of that, all of the information that I can, because it is a lot.
I'm on the time crunch, so it's short answers.
Alright.
Seeing Mr. Slap.
Daylight.
I'll say July next time, I'll say Slap. Anyway, seeing him back there reminds me, have you yet been, I think you should be incorporated into that Veterans Memorial project.
I have been in contact with Ms. Jenkins.
Okay.
Yeah, we at our last meeting, committee meeting, we
they asked me to invite her. And
Yeah, I think you should be an actual part of it.
I believe that's in
Yeah,
process.
she's invited to her.
Second thing is I don't think Texas is the most populated state in the union.
No, California, I think is the highest population, but we have the highest veteran population.
That's what I was thinking. I don't even know if we're that big this year anyway, but it's that interesting that we have the highest population of veterans, even though we're not the highest population state.
Yes, it is.
And lastly, speaking of populations, you have an estimate, you kind of have a guesstimate of the north half of Blanco County versus the south half of Blanco County, where your customer base is.
Yes, from the ones that I have had contact with, so 75 to 100, only 6 of them maybe have been North County. The rest have been South County.
If we were to guess, do we think it's because San Antonio is such a military town and it's closer to the south of the county?
San Antonio being such a military town, San Antonio kind of being easier to get to for medical care, everything else for veterans specifically than say Austin or Kerrville. Just from here, Kerrville is still over an hour, whereas from Blanco, the nearest VA facility is 50 minutes or so. Either direction, either New Braunfels or north end of San Antonio. So I do think that's part of it. And the other part of it is here on the north end of the county, we seem to have larger pieces of property. So you're going to have just fewer people. South just seems a little bit more, just seems heavier, like a heavier population.
Commissioners,
Mr. Trump, I just want to thank you for what you've done a lot in this department. You've increased it, you've done what you said you would do. You've gone out, created a part of that. It's growing, will give you whatever you going to keep you. Got it going. Well, I appreciate you getting involved in our community. Mr. Delegate, I appreciate what you've done from day one. We just need to keep going. You started as a part-time person. You want to be a part-time person, you're busy. And you seem to be a full-time job, part-time assistant with your phone. And I appreciate everything.
thank you. Something I back in as a compliment, you by complimenting Commissioner Wood, because he started this process years ago, talking about veterans and veterans service officers. And it just drug on and drug on. But he didn't let go of it. And apparently patience works out sometimes because we got you and amazing. Every bit of feedback I ever give is so positive. So I'm certainly proud of you, and I'm extremely proud of Commissioner Wood for helping us to get this thing on the road.
We're proud of her too.
All right. Item 7, this is nominated in the order of election.
Make a motion to approve the order of election for the November 7th, 2023 state constitutional amendment election.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Beaker, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 8, optional fees for motor vehicles. Fees is check the box that we would not make no change. We would make no changes. And it's up for your approval.
Make a motion to approve the optional fee of motor vehicle registration for 2024 with option A as no change.
Is there a second? Mr. Riley, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 9 is notification of the cutoff date, but it may have a little, after yesterday's conversation, a little, still So essentially, I mean, the item reads like it reads that we want to notify everyone in county land that purchase order requests have got to be in by September 15th and invoices have got to be in by noon on October the 4th. But with the extreme heat and the danger to our workers and our equipment and such, paving is going to run us up to the very last minute of the fiscal year.
Right.
We need some flexibility.
Right, with the excessive heat that we've been under, in order to prevent bleeding of the road and tracking of that roads, we might want to continue and wait until the temperature drops a little bit, so we can shoot it at our normal rate. We don't have to reduce our rate. So, I mean, all the rock we purchase, so it's just the amount of the oil, work in the calendar.
So what does that mean, let's say in terms of the October 4th day for invoices to be turned in?
So if Mother Nature gives us a break from this heat, mid-September, we start paving mid-September. Mr. Eager already has his rock on site and already paid for it. My rock will be on site, we'll start on the week. So all the rock will be on site. However, if mid-September is the break in the heat, then that's when we should start ordering our oil. And we'll be doing about a week and a half to 2 weeks of paving every day, and then we'll be done. So typically, in invoicing world, before you get the oil distributed on the ground, you already have an invoice in your mailbox. So it should come pretty quick. So there's just a little time that we just gotta play with it.
We can work them through the week, just not the wait there 2 weeks or so.
POs will be issued, that's not an issue. It's just the actual checks being cut.
Auditor, want to weigh in? Any concerns?
I'm gonna pray for the weather, it's not.
For lots of reasons.
But if it is,
But what,
we'll.
figure something out. But for Ms. Strickland's benefit, by no means whatsoever is this discussion give anybody else any leeway whatsoever. We turn in one time.
Nor does it give us any leeway on anything other than paving oil.
And Chris, if you have more,
Notification of numbers, we need some sort of motion. Moving to item 10, the agri-life offices, Commissioner Weir has kindly jumped in where I started and has worked on relocation to community resource center. And you have any results?
I do.
And we have today, we have Mayor Capper and representatives.
Good morning. Well, good, y'all started earlier, and had a meeting with y'all and walked the location. The reason we're doing this is we were talking about space. We've added on to the building, we're adding other buildings, we're expanding the old jailhouse. Everybody has been on social media and stuff saying that we're building all the stuff that we don't need it. That's not true. We're actually, these sites will be occupied day one. So with that, we're struggling to see where we can take existing apartments and possibly take a single apartment and move it to a new location and create 2 apartments in the previous location. So that's what we have in mind. In my opinion, AgriLife has always been very welcome there. They've done a great job with your work. Appreciate you very much. But some of your work was done over in the CRC. Came to different things. It was was kind of geared towards the early days of Columbus Day. So we've always kind of considered that at one point. Now where you are presently, we can use that department and actually put 2 departments in that office. So we got together, the judge started earlier and worked on it, and then got back with y'all and walked in and tried to see how we could do this at the least amount of expense in, and create a spot where y'all could settle in and be close to where you teach your classes and take care of other things in the same building. So we got together, and it seems like everybody is for doing this, or getting it done. It will definitely help the county to split that office into 2 departments. So we're to the point where I believe we decided what location CRC will use to answer questions that people might have about whether we're paying rent or not. Can you?
Yes, I can answer that. One of the main purposes of the CRC, it's actually in our mission statement, is to provide free office space for nonprofits and other government or social service agencies. So any space that Greggson's office will occupy in the CRC will be rent free, and it also includes utilities.
And what the county likes be a part of is the actual something that we the relocation and doing what we need to do to get these apartments situated. So no rent or that. The utilities are covered. Sounds great. So once we do this, I feel that it'd be a good permanent spot. The county can take advantage of those 2 offices and make those departments. So I don't know where we take it from here. Judge, can you help me with that?
But yeah, what we need to do, a motion to get a timeline. Or maybe we don't need a timeline, just authorize.
Can we authorize the move and the relocation? Okay.
Did you say 2 offices or 3? Because we have 3 spots.
There's 3 offices in this year.
He's talking about moving 2 departments into the old offices.
The old office. So it would help us. We were trying to figure out 2 separate office spaces and in our offices. So this is going to help us a lot. I appreciate it. So with that,
I would like to say that I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a good way to enhance our programming. I do a lot of programming there at the CRC with, especially with 4-H, but I think, and I told Commissioner Weir this, that I think it will grow some of my adult programming, maybe a partnership with the food pantry to do food demos when those people come in to get their food. I've got some other ideas, so I'm looking forward to it. I do have one reservation, and that's that our hours are not the same. The CRC is open 8:30 to 4. Is that correct?
Oh, so hours we can work with the hours. We are, our site coordinator is there from 8 to 4:30, but we only open the doors between 8:30 and 4. And that gives certain time, especially CRC of 1 employee, time for vegetable paperwork and whatever else she needs to do. But as a tenant of the CRC building, we'll have code access. The only thing we will need to work out is when the doors will be open to walking traffic. So
because this is a conundrum for me. I've heard this before in other contexts about hours. I think even with Oscar Fisher back in the day, the hours or whatever. But what I don't understand is you all have so many events that happen in the evenings. So it doesn't seem like hours is a.
So there's a difference there. I mean, we do have our conference room and our meeting room that's available for anybody to reserve for free. And when they do that, they sign a policy, and they will give them a key. And the rest of the building is blocked off. They have to go into a separate door, and they just have access to that part of the building. They cannot come in to where the offices are. Hillcrest MHD, for example, will have patients that may come in before the doors are unlocked at 8:30 or after they're closed, they're locked at 4, and their people can call them, or if they know that their person is gonna be there, they will come and get the person. Thank Medical Center does the same thing. This is just strictly, the CRC is run by one site coordinator, and she has certain duties that she has to perform, and sometimes if she's not able to perform some of those duties, but she's constantly out walking traffic.
So, if I just heard you right, if Gretchen were to be here at 7:30 in the morning and make some special accommodation for somebody at 7:30 in the morning, it would be, couldn't it just be like MHDD and
Yeah,
they call outside and
yes.
say, I'm not here, and she go get them?
Yeah, that's perfect.
She'll have a key to get in, right?
Well, she won't need a key, she'll have her code.
So,
Yeah. Yes.
Will that work for you?
Yes, I just wanted everybody to be aware of that situation. So Melinda, Ledbetter, our office manager, and I talked, and we can do it like that, where people, let's say they come at 4:15, they'll have to call and we'll have to let them in. So it's accessible, but not as accessible as what we have in the annex. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that.
It's something you can adjust to.
I feel sure we can adjust to it. Yes.
So
But
you're,
Alice will be there, she's there, if she knows that Gretchen has, or Melinda has somebody coming in, she's right there at the front desk, it's not a problem. But we do need to give our site coordinators time to do, they have deadlines, they have to be Thursdays and Fridays, and they need to have time to do that paperwork for us.
so, both parties are okay with it?
Yes. And we had talked about shelving and signage, and different things like that. And we would be all for the signage, but like Lucy Murphy, our executive director, mentioned, we need to go through Mark Mayfield for that, because he's very particular with signage in the front of the CRC. But those kinds of things we need to figure out as well.
Anybody else?
so, are you about to make a motion?
I was, go ahead.
Just before you do, when I was a teenager, I was at a barber shop, and they kept calling this guy sitting next to your governor, and I knew who the governor was, and it wasn't him. And I learned from that experience a long time ago that once you are something, you need to keep the title. It was Alan Shivers, who was former governor. So when I introduced her as mayor, his predecessor, I'm fully aware that the current mayor is sitting out there.
One other question I had is the MOUs and the insurance requirements, did you have a chance to look those over?
I've got them, and I need to share them with our youth department. Everything's good there. I would like to, process route that we can go to. That work? Anything else? Okay. Well, I move that, we approve the relocation of Anchor Life offices to the Community Resource Center. Once our employees and stuff have been looked at with our attorneys and approved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Eager, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Item 11, Lincoln Hills, free life. 15.
Okay, this is, I call it a regular read, but happened many times there before. Lakely Hills, lots 15 and 18. We found a single lot. And, right now they're known as 15 and 16. So everything looks good. I would like to make a motion that we approve this replat, Lakely Hills, lots 15 and 16, being known as lot 15R. Once, these repaired. Once feet repaired.
Is there a second? Commissioner Eager, discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I think the burn ban expires at the end of today.
With it being, as droughty as it is, I would like to make a motion to extend the burn ban till October the 10th at noon.
Is there a second? Commissioner Riley, discussion. So looking at a former teacher, this is a drafty at work.
Well, I just made one.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ongoing discussions about the budget before we get to Ms. Hall's issue. We had provided you a short list, and I'm gonna have to ask, I think I'm gonna have to ask her to reverse what I already asked her to do, and that's the second and third entries about the $7,000. I think knowing what I can do now from Mr. Leesman on the meetings from yesterday, I don't get to it back where it was. 75 back in the original line. Does that make sense?
So take out the subject, back.
Put it back where it was. And maybe figure out a way to call that line, or put it in parentheses that maybe get RRS.
Okay,
Because I didn't realize that that's what I actually did.
okay.
And then the first line is about the county judge salary, and there's increases, so we did that and published it. Pest control for the county buildings. I don't remember the backstory.
We didn't have a monthly service at the South Annex. We did. We did.
We didn't have that cost, and we didn't have the budget for it. That's why we're at $1,000.
But it might be more since y'all had it on. This was,
Yeah, since we doubled the size of the building, that's fine.
but they do have monthly service.
That's the reason for the additional money, because it's a bigger building.
And then we also added for, across the street, the new structure at the old jail. That.
That's right, that's what the other. Okay. So that's really all the changes that I have on there. Anything else?
No, sir.
Do you want to talk about certain?
So, I don't know what financial aspect we need in the budget.
Well, I was just trying to find out whether she wanted to talk about it, and I was trying to find a germinating topic. And,
I think it's more of a discussion offline that we can have. I mean, I don't know, is there anything that needs to be in the budget for us?
so there wouldn't be any emergency management function.
There will be emergency management functions, yes, but there's no additional funds needed for.
Oh, we have to recognize the county sponsoring.
So there's still, I don't believe there's going to be any funds necessary for that. Is there? Not this year? But, I mean, if we're talking about equipment and things like that, backpacks and go things, Hayes County has stuff that has been grant funded that's sitting on their shelves. And Mike Jones offered all that to us, but that's not a cost. So, you know, Barnett County, what Barnett County does, when Jim was there, he used county funds and he purchased T-shirts for all the certain members, so it's things like that. TDM is offering, classes, free of charge, so it's not a cost. So it's just the process of finding the right individuals to run.
Okay.
County doesn't have to recognize sponsors. So
If we did, it's not on the agenda, it'd be worded like that. Yeah.
Are there funds in your emergency management
budget for things like when you have extended fires for snacks and drinks?
So there's emergency equipment and what is it worded? And supplies, emergency equipment and supplies.
Because I do know that Hayes funds snacks and drinks.
We're not picking it up on
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying,
Oh, excuse me.
it's not there.
I just know that, Caroline got a text that said Hayes County funds, snacks and drinks for these extended responses, through CERT. So, you know, right now, we have been funding that. We haven't had many, but they've come away from the auxiliary of ESD.
So the county has funded some, not a lot. Yes, we have, just maybe not your area, but yes, we have. So the county has funded some, but not, there's quite a bit done by all the auxiliaries.
By all the auxiliaries.
All the auxiliaries, yes.
Right.
So Blanco, Johnson City, and Ramrock,
Right.
they all fund and bring waters and snacks and things of that nature. The county has picked up the bill on some. I don't know if this is something that the county commissioners court wants to fund 100% of. I don't know that answer.
I know that at certain times there are large numbers of meals that were provided. What was the maximum we provided? In other words, we had 250 meals during the smoke rider fire. And, small fires is very easy. When you get into these kind of numbers, you need to know who's paying. So that's just, I didn't know if you had that in there, and it's something that, I agree with you, it's not a large budget, most of these are grants, but I think that, feeding people this big fire is always important. So,
There are some Attorney General interpretations that authorize responses and discussions to public comments like yours. So I feel like even not necessarily turning into this item, you're still going for discussion about this. And I'm so curious because, and I'd like to know what you're in, because you lead me to believe that the CERT idea is sort of languishing, and I don't listen closely enough, obviously. And I think I hear peripherally during some of the chiefs meetings and other times discussions about CERT, and so it seems like there is something going on. I just don't.
Yes, so there's been discussions. I've met with Ann and Caroline, a county-wide service. So, when we do that, that'll be one call as opposed to calling each individual auxiliary. Because right now what we do is, depending on the location of the fire, that auxiliary pretty much comes out and does the initial, brings out snacks, drinks, waters, and things of that nature. Caroline and her crew has been to fires in Cypress Mill. So, last year, and when we had multiple fires going on in the same, under the same auxiliary basically. So Round Mountain had multiple fires last year that they were dealing with, so they were spread pretty thin. So, but I do know that Johnson City Fire, their auxiliary was participating, and there were some lengthy fires last year that created a lot of frustration. Okay.
So there were a couple of words you said. You said when we do that, and I guess my question is my reading of emails and such is ready to do that, to start pushing buttons. And
we need a program sponsor. Before I can register us, we need a program sponsor.
okay, but you want to register, you want to take the funding back to start the process and register us. And my question is,
so talking with Ms. Hall in one setting, and talking with the Johnson City Fire in another setting, auxiliary, there's a difference of opinions on who wants to be in charge. And so that's, it is a game. It's a game we play. So there's talking with Daniel Reyes, which is our new COO, I've mentioned it to him and asked him about, utilizing, a existing auxiliary, and originally he was opposed to that, trying trying to say you need to keep it separate from the auxiliaries. But now I think he's kind of leaning back into it because, you know, I explained to him, there's not a lot of people just jumping out here wanting to come out and help. And that's.
I would disagree. I think there's a lot of women that are helping, but I don't think many men want to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so I think they would be more than happy.
That's all
I think they would be more than happy to do search and rescue, direct traffic. I think that there are guide jobs that right now help first responders. We talked with you over a year ago, so it's time to either decide that we want to have a CERT or we don't want to have a CERT. And I don't know that the auxiliaries want to be the CERT. I think they want to work with the CERT, and I think the CERT is a separate organization under FEMA. It can be a 501c3 or not, but it has to be two things. It needs a sponsor that is somebody connected to emergency response, and it has to have somebody that's a program director. We share an EMS director who certainly is qualified to be the person who would be the on-the-ground director. We have an emergency manager that works with all the ESDs. I didn't know it was a problem if he was going to run it, because I don't think Caroline wants to run the CERT. I just want to form it. And then we'll find somebody that wants to do the daily job, because that's not going to be the job of the emergency manager from the county.
Okay, so I was at this discussion and I wasn't doing it for sport to watch the two of you joust, but it's sounding like you almost need to lead the meeting with the South North folks to figure out how to go forward.
Okay.
Does that sound?
That sounds fair. That sounds fair.
And then for my questions, further discussion, I'll relate back to the flood, the big flood. And crews came in with their buckets and cleaning supplies and such, and they had names, but I don't know their names. Is that outside of the circle?
Yes, most of those are now. We did have Mike Rankin and that group. They formed. They call it, you know, the name of what they call it. But they formed a little committee down there that they responded to a lot of people during that flood, and now afterwards we are part of the GRV-3, the Global River Authority. You know, so that is a 501c3 process that we are a part of, which in times of crisis like this, we utilize that organization.
You don't have it in your mind that this CERT is going to become an all-encompassing provider of volunteer services.
Of what kind of services?
I call it volunteer services.
No, the CERT in Hays County, as it is established, is an organization that is called on by the emergency manager and is regulated through the Office of Emergency Management. And they are trained to do basic sort of search and rescue, direct traffic and things that they are trained to do in time of a big disaster would relieve highly trained first responders to do the things they do best. I see this as an organization that is apart really from the ESDs. It's an organization that they have a trailer, they have tape, they have ropes, they have what you need, and I just heard my two chiefs talk about, oh, we love to see them come up because they know what to do. It may be that they don't do a good job, and we need to say that and say we don't want to do that. But I think that right now, our population's growing. We have a limited number of employees in the South and volunteers in the North. And I think that we need to be prepared for disaster. And there are things that trained volunteers can do rather than having just a bunch of volunteers rushing in. And you have no central headquarters, nothing that people know they need to set up and do.
Okay, central headquarters, and you said earlier, an organization of the county, but is there some rule against having a certain one that starts out?
As many certainly as you.
That you don't like that idea?
I didn't know there was a battle. I haven't discussed about the CERT in the north. Do you know of any about it?
There is
He's waiting.
I mean, I don't know that we've discussed it between,
Okay,
you know.
so is a fair outcome here to hopefully get a meeting with the stakeholders and figure out whatever the rub is and we put it on the agenda to see if the county wants to sponsor a cert or certs.
That would be fine. I think the main thing is the training starts in October and I don't know how we make off. I think now is the time to make a decision. You don't have time to start and then spring is usually when you have floods. So no, that would be great. I'd be glad to help anyone.
To be continued.
Thank you.
Circling back to the budget. The public hearing on the budget is on Friday, the 25th, which complies with the law that you can have it within 25 days of publish for the file. So Friday's the last day, that's why we're doing it on Friday. And then the public hearing on taxes is slated to be on the day of Commissioner's Court in September. And we're going to take up passing the budget and the tax levies. Any questions? Anything else? Don't want to rush you. I got 3 minutes. Fine.
Motion with adjourn.
Is there a second? Mr. Weir, second. Discussion?